Smokin Blues is a vet-owned, minority-owned local business here in St. George. Our goal is to grow with St. George and become part of the fiber. We want St. George to be a successful place.
Welcome, everybody, to the Blake Technologies podcast. I am your host, Blake, and I'm here with an awesome guest today. His name is Frank Ford, and he's the owner of the Smokin Blues BBQ trailer here in southern Utah. And he is like one of the most talented chefs, owners of this trailer that I've ever eaten his food. Like, when I ate his food, I was like, you know what? Here, I'm going to redo this. I'm going to redo this 1 second.
Yeah. Take your time.
Yeah.
But this is we can mess up all you need.
Okay, cool. Yeah. But I got to say, when I ate your food, I met Frank at an event here in southern Utah it was a business event, and he was catering. Yeah. And I got to say, that was the best part of the event, in my personal opinion.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The food was the best part. I'm a very introverted person. And so when I go to these business events, I'm mainly there for the food. And I got to say, that was awesome. So
cool.
I met Frank there, and I invited him onto our podcast this morning. And I'm glad that you were able to come, Frank. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Blake, for having me. I appreciate it. It's always nice to sit down and chat with people and get a better feeling and understanding of what's going on in our community. And I think that Blake Technologies is onto something good, and it's going to grow fast. I think that your ideal and the involvement you have in the community is going to make you a fiber in the community and the growth of St. George. So this is a great opportunity and experience for me. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Frank, for saying that. Yeah, we've got the Savesy app. The Savesy app is sort of an innovative spin on the whole couponing industry.
Yeah.
Coupons have been around for who knows how long. They've been around forever.
Yeah. Whoever thought it could become better?
Right.
But thanks
exactly.
to you, it has.
Yeah. So Savesy is free for business owners to have an account and to post as many deals as often and whenever you would like. There's a portal in the app for business owners to handle everything on their own, which is pretty sweet. And we're excited to have businesses like Smokin Blues BBQ on our app at some point here. We're in progress building the Android version, so we'll be able to allow all business owners to have an account.
That's great. That's great. I can't wait to get involved with it. I'm actually going to update my phone so I can get it sooner than because I think it's an amazing product that you're offering. And I just want to take advantage of it. I think every day that I don't, I'm cheating myself, and not to mention what I'm doing or not doing for my customers. But I just think that it's something that everybody who's sincere about success should have.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Savesy app it's designed to help small business owners, and ultimately we want people to enjoy going out on the weekends, going out and saving on these crazy, like the inflation, because everybody's hurting. Business owners are hurting, having to raise prices. It causes, more hardship on our wallets as consumers. And so we really hope that this innovation can spark up the excitement of going out and doing things, eating food and having fun. And
some people don't do as much as they used to. The pandemic kind of put the brakes on a lot of social activity and events, and that was one of the bigger ones. And I think that was a way that people were able to socially communicate and bond and have a good time. And without it's kind of like a little, I want to call it a crack in the fiber of our social existence. We're spending less and less time socially interacting and engaging with one another. And I don't think that's healthy.
Right.
Not to say that there's a negative response from you physically at this point in time, but over a period of time, I think that it's not going to be as beneficial for us as a whole, for people as a whole, not to socialize and interact with one another. So your app is going to help promote that. You're like the stitch. You're the doctor that's going to stitch us back together.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, we want people to get out. And I think, because the larger portion of the app is designed for in-person transactions, like in-person discounts and deals. And that means we got to get out of our house and go to a restaurant, go to a park, go to these, fairgrounds and farms and, do fun things, go break stuff. There's now businesses out there with escape rooms. There's businesses where you can go and literally you can pay to break a TV and break a refrigerator if you want to with an axe. So
get that frustration out.
Right. Yeah. But, that's really cool. So what I would like to know is more about you, Frank, and how did Smokin Blues BBQ come into existence? We can start there, and then I would like to also dive into kind of your story a little bit.
So, thank you for asking, Blake.
Yeah.
Smokin Blues BBQ came into play a few years ago when I was executive chef. I found a spot up in northern Utah, and they wanted to do barbecue. So we came up with this, and I created the menu and all the dishes and set the whole thing up, and it worked out really well. Unfortunately, with a lot of business ventures, the people that control the money have other ideals and desires of what to do with the money that don't always coincide with what the business needs. So it didn't work out as well as it was supposed to, but the concept, the ideal, and the work that I had put into creating it, I didn't want it to go to waste. So after that happened, I went and became a contractor overseas. And when I came back, the pandemic hit, and it forced me to stay home because the whole planet shut down for a while. And while I was home, I thought about it, and I thought, this is a good place. St. George is like one of the 5 fastest growing cities in the country. And I'm going to be here. I'm tired of taking off. So I started looking around for ways to implement my ideal here. And I tried a couple restaurants, but I wasn't able to get the property so I could do it. And then I thought about what we're just talking about how social interaction and how important it is since the pandemic. And I went for a food truck, and I got the food truck and started doing it and out at the farmer's market. And when I realized the difference between serving you and talking to you as opposed to cooking for you in the kitchen and sending it out, now the waiter or waitress has all the fun because they're the one engaging with the customer. I realized that I'd been cheating myself for a long time. And I really enjoy talking to people and having them come up and telling them about the way that we do things and the process we use to make it and where my commissary kitchen is and the things that I do. And I get information from them because as a chef, you create these flavors and you think they're great. And a lot of times they are. But ultimately, it's what your guest thinks. If I make a lobster thermidor and I think it just melts in your mouth, that's great. But if you're allergic to one of my ingredients or it doesn't satisfy your palate, then that dish isn't what I had hoped for it to be because I'm creating it to entertain you. So by doing that and talking to people face to face, I get immediate responses. I know right now in real time, as you were saying, what's going on and what I can do to enhance and make my business more appealing to the people in St. George. So I changed some of the recipes and reduced the amount of options because I have 13 sauces. So I cut it back to 5. Yeah, it's a bottleneck when people have to figure out 13 sauces. So cut it back to 5, to the 5 that went the best. And so now Smokin Blues is drifting around southern Utah, and we're serving up some really nice barbecue. I think the people are enjoying it. I'm getting favorable responses, a lot of them. It's really nice when people get the food, go eat it, and then come back and tell you how good it was, and then they leave their reviews. So Smokin Blues came about because I wanted to do something to make people happy and to help increase or motivate people to get out and do something. We were locked in our homes for a year or so, and it's people need to get out. The sun is still healthy and good for you. Utah's still a beautiful place. There's tons of things to do, but you got to get out of the house to do them.
Right. Yeah, and I think Southern Utah, more than most places, the people here, they get out quite a bit, at least compared to Las Vegas, where I just moved from. It's a little bit more difficult to like get out of the house and be in the outdoors. You have to drive quite a ways. A lot of the parks are not necessarily the safest anymore in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And so, but you like in Southern Utah, the first thing I noticed when, moving here as an adult, I was like, this is awesome. I'm so glad I get to provide this for my kids. Like what a treat to be able to like truly enjoy the nature that God has given us,
Oh, absolutely.
And on top of that, like so food trucks, it's like, that's the whole point, the whole point is like, get out, enjoy the food. Like not only just get out and go get food. It's like, get out and go get some Smokin Blues BBQ food.
Right.
Best like
in town.
The best. Yeah. And that's how we can like truly enjoy life. Honestly, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
A lot of our life revolves around food, right?
No, yeah. Mine does.
Yeah.
It's interesting point. You mentioned Las Vegas. That's where I was before I came to St. George. And you mentioned your kids. And that was one of the things that drew me to St. George. I met my wife when I was in Las Vegas. And after I came back from contracting, I was going to go back to Las Vegas. And then I looked at my kids and I thought, what type of life am I going to offer you? What type of education are you going to get in Las Vegas? As opposed to St. George. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's wholesome, better education system. All around, the benefits for a family, for raising a child are off the chart in St. George compared to Las Vegas. So that's how the business ended up in St. George.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
You mind if I ask what were you doing contracting? What do you mean by that?
So a government contractor. I worked for the government overseas, and I was in Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, a couple other places. And so when I went over there as a contractor means that you work for the government. Yeah. They hire you as a contractor to do different things. A couple of things I did was I worked in supply. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that because the guys come up, the soldiers, men and women, they come up and you talk to them directly, and it was really a lot of fun to listen and talk to them. Some of the coolest people I met. And then I was also a chef over there. I went over there originally as a chef to cook. I went to cooking school. I became a chef, and I got some certifications and a bunch of other things under my belt as a chef. And I thought about it, and it's like, if these people can go overseas and put their life on the line, willing to die for my freedom, the least I could do is make sure they get a good meal out of it. Yeah. So I went over and I started cooking for the troops, and that was so much fun. That was over there was a aha moment of enlightenment for me. There's a group, I used to call them the Beard Brothers. These soldiers would come in and their hair was all black, but their eyebrows were different colors, and I called them the Beard Brothers. Anyways, these troops come in, and you develop a rapport with them. You're chatting with them about what's going on at home in their life and all this stuff. And then one day you look, and instead of 5 or 6, there's a couple of them missing. And sometimes it would be for health reasons, or they would be out doing things. But once they came in, and they said that we came in for chow last night, and when we got called out after dinner, and they didn't make it back. And it dawned on me when they said that every time I cook for somebody, it really could be their last meal. And it was rewarding for me because I take a lot of pride in what I cook. So I made sure that the food I was putting out was really exceptional. So they got a good meal. But it just made me realize that life is just such a delicate thing, and you never know when it's going to end. And I, as a chef, have the ability to make the last meal you have one of the best ones there was. So that resonated through me, and it still does today. So every dish I cook is the best possible one I can make. If you are smart and wise enough to come to Smokin Blues BBQ, you are instantly a VIP. You'll get the best treatment and the best food available.
That's incredible. You have probably one of the coolest perspectives on food I've ever heard of.
Oh, thank you.
That's really cool. And that definitely comes obviously from your experience with it, because I'm trying to like mentally put myself in your shoes there, where you're witnessing these things, and you're, like you said, quite literally cooking people's last meals potentially,
Yeah, it just popped in there. It's like, this is what you do. And I'd never seen it that way before. I never even thought about it that way. I enjoyed cooking. I enjoyed talking to the people, and I was having a great time. I mean, to be an executive chef, you wear probably 24 different hats, and you're running all over the place doing a ton of things. When I switched and became a contractor, I did one thing. So for me, it was like a paid vacation. I had a blast. I was just running around making cinnamon rolls and decorating cakes, doing all kinds of crazy stuff I didn't have to do because I had the time. And I enjoyed it. I never saw myself as being that kind of person or thought of my job as that. It's just when that happened, it made me realize that was one of the benefits. I don't know if you call it a benefit. That's one of the lingering effects that food, my job, my talent has in this world. I don't know. It made me see things in a different light. It no longer was just me making food. It had a purpose. I had a meaning now.
Yeah.
And that was something that I think may have been lacking, because it's changed the way I feel about it and the level of enjoyment I get. And it makes me feel better about it. I mean, before I was a cook, I was a chef. It was like, it's no big deal. Now it means something. I do something that makes a difference. Besides health, it changes. It's a life-changing event, literally. And so I was just blessed that the Lord opened my eyes to see what was actually happening.
Yeah, that's so incredible. Did you serve?
I did. I was in 82nd Airborne Division. That was one of the greatest times of my youth. Was out there jumping out of those planes. It was so much fun. Other than watching my children be born, that is the greatest experience that I ever had, was jumping out of a plane. I jumped out of helicopters, C-130s, out of Chinooks. There's so many different ways to do it, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of traveling in there. I met a lot of cool people, and it's through the internet, technology, the way it's grown, I've been able to get in touch with some of them again that I hadn't seen for years. It's really nice.
That's really wild. Would you be able to put a number on how many times you've jumped out of a
154 out of a helicopter or
just in total? How many jumps?
About 154 jumps is what I had in my book.
Wow.
I'd like to do it again, but so when you jump when you're in the military and you jump, it's free. You just got to do it a lot.
Right.
When you come out and you try to free fall someplace, it can get to be pretty spendy.
Oh yeah. I've looked into it. It's like 1,000.
I haven't done it yet, and I never learned how to pack my own chute and all that other stuff. So
see, that's what I'm scared about, because as part of the experience, you're supposed to pack your own chute. And I'm like, man, if I do one thing wrong, game over.
Well,
is that the case? Or
you have a reserve chute.
Okay. But if I have to pack that too, then it's like,
well,
I'm putting my own life in my hands, and I don't know if I can trust myself.
I've seen the riggers pack the chutes before.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a complicated process, but it's an exact science.
Right.
You have to make sure that all the cords are straight and they can't be tangled up and whatnot, and that you're using the right type of test rope so that when you tie it shut and so on and so forth, so that it will actually open.
Yeah.
When you don't, if you use the wrong one or too much of it, then it won't.
Yeah.
You just dangle there and bounce off the back of the plane.
Yeah.
That's not as much fun as it sounds like.
Right. Yeah. Well, in my head, I'm also thinking, like, how many people did it take for them to get that right? You know, for them to like figure out what's the best way to successfully, get the best result out of a jump.
I think over time, if you look at the different type of actual parachutes that they use, you can see that they've been refining.
Right.
Less strings, a smaller actual piece of canopy, more maneuverable.
Right.
They can open at higher altitudes. And it's a lot of difference.
Yeah. So was that 154 missions that you did? Like
no,
official jumps?
Just jumps. Okay. Just jumps. Every time you jump, you log it in your book. Starting from jump school. The first 3 years
cool.
Go with jump school, but then after that, when you get to your permanent party location, every time you jump, it's logged. It's in the book, so they know what you did. Some of them are just jumps because you have to maintain your status as a jumper, and some of them are training missions, and some of them are actually missions. But they don't say. It says you jumped, and because a lot of the things that people jump into are not things that are common knowledge, and people don't always talk about them.
Yeah.
So they just say, yes, this person has this many jumps.
Okay.
And then when you start, where were they and what did they do? And then it's redaction time.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any stories that you would feel comfortable talking about?
From jumping?
Well, yeah, like, yeah, let's go with that for sure. Because I'm coming from the perspective, I'm not, I've never been in the Army or the military or anything. Yeah. So yeah, pardon me for my ignorance as well.
No, not at all. So yeah, one of the things I remember most about jumping is I had an entanglement, and this was when I was in jump school. And an entanglement, the jumpers go out the back of the plane. And it's supposed to go one, then the other, then one, then the other. And for somehow we came out the back at the same time. And when the chutes open up, they got entangled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you're floating down with this other person. So you're supposed to climb up or down so that the two people are face to face. And then you hold on to the other person's risers, the straps that are there. And you're supposed to decide on your way down who's going to fall to the right and who's going to fall to the left, so you fall apart and don't. Yeah. So we're doing that. We're looking at each other, and we're falling down. And as the level of, as you drop down lower and lower, the winds change. So it might be a 5 mile an hour wind at 100 feet and 20 miles at 50, and then 5 or 10 at the ground level.
Yeah.
Or 20 or 25.
Yeah.
So we're falling down, and we're holding on to each other, and we're going right, left, right, and we hit the wind, and we start spinning. So it's like right, left, no, left, bam, and we hit. Fortunately, we hit in a swamp.
No way.
Yeah, we in this, and we just stuck in there like straws in a drink in a Frosty. But if we had landed on hard ground, we'd have broke both our legs.
Yeah, wow.
Because we were never able to split up and do any of the stuff we were supposed to. I mean, in technical training, the way that they tell you this is what you're supposed to do, we had it down. But in practical application, it's like there's a lot of things they don't tell you are going to happen.
Right.
Other things we did, Panama was nice. Northern Warfare School down there, or jungle training. Northern Warfare School was in Canada. Yeah, that was a nice place to go. It's really nice, some of the places that I was able to travel and go to, because we don't need an airport. We don't need transportation here or there. It's like the light comes on and get out, and you jump out. And that was a lot of fun. It wasn't until later on in my career as a jumper that I realized the pilots that were flying us, 9 out of 10 times it was a training mission for them. So they would go and seek out the storm and the turbulence, and it would rock us in the plane. And then they would come out and go back on course to do whatever they were going to do. And sometimes we would get really upset. So we would rock the plane. And all of a sudden, out of blue, Yeah, the light comes on. It's like, get out. You get just like the cab driver pulls over and says, this is your stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, they flip and you don't know until you get down on the ground and it's like, oh, yeah, the DZ's 5 clicks that way. Start walking.
Oh, man.
Yeah. That was crazy. This kind of stuff that they did to you. And then the last thing I'll say about jumping was they have a thing called your cherry blast. When you get to your permanent party, it's your first jump with them.
Okay.
And
is it called the cherry blast?
that's what they call it, because you're a cherry. We're gonna pop a cherry. Come on over here, kid.
There you go.
So one of the things they used to do is we used to have sea rations. And in the sea rations, there was this one called beef spice. And you take it, you open it up, and you put it in the barf bag with a little water, and you squeeze it.
Okay.
Get it all mushy, mushy, mushy. And then, like I said, when the turbulence comes, the new kids are sitting there, and you can see their faces changing. They're about ready to do it. So you got this bag with the beef base in it, and you sit and you go, and you pretend that you throw up. You go, oh, I can't lose my meal. And you take it and you drink it back down.
Man.
Dude, the whole back half of the plane starts just arcing all over the place. Everybody, these kids are losing it. That was a lot of fun to do stuff like that. It was mean, but it was a lot of fun. That was one of the things.
That's actually super hilarious.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Just the clean fun that we used to have when I was there.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the club. That's the initiation. All right.
Yeah, it was it. But that was it. But overall, I thought my experience with the military was good. It changed me as a person. It helped me develop and become more mature and appreciate and value things that in life that I had taken for granted as a youth. So overall, it was a good thing.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
I was glad to do it. I loved it. I had a blast.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, man. So this was when you were younger, right? When in your youth you were part of the 82nd?
Yes, I went in when I was in my 20s.
Okay.
18, yeah.
And then after that, I'm assuming somewhere around there you discovered the food, right?
Well,
or was it during?
Well, actually,
before?
It was before. Okay. So the reason and the way I started cooking is there were 5 kids in our family.
Okay.
And when my mom started working, my mom and my dad both worked. So my mom decided once that I'm tired of coming home and cooking. You guys don't do anything all day long. You sit there, you don't do your homework. This was her quote. So she would call about 3:00 when we got home from school. And every day you would have a different role to play in the preparation of dinner. You would cook, wash dishes, dry the dishes, put up the dishes, or clean the table and take out the trash. And every day your job changed. So if you were supposed to cook, she would call you and she would tell you what you were going to cook, and she would sit at work and talk you through the process over the phone.
All right.
So after about a couple months, you already knew how to make all the dishes that we were going to be having for dinner. So she leave the stuff out and we start cooking, and that's how I started cooking. And I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and we lived in a lot of different places. My dad was from Louisiana, so we lived down there in the Cajun country for a while, and I learned to do a lot of dishes down there, a lot of seafood dishes. And then that's just it just carried over. When I got out the military, 11B1P, that's Airborne Infantry, I leaned back into cooking. That was the first job that was offered to me. Well, I had a job as a correctional officer, but it's not something I enjoyed.
Okay.
Yeah, there's too much stress and it was no fun. I didn't. So I went back to cooking. I started cooking again, and actually it was for a vet. There's a chain years ago. It used to be called the Rio Grande, and the owner was a Vietnam vet, and he had a standing rule: any vet who comes in and applies gets hired. And
wow, that's really cool.
I'll never forget the interview. I walked in there, the guy from the unemployment office sends me in, and I walk in with my application, and the guy grabs the application, and he goes, why did they send you? And they're not supposed to send anybody to tomorrow, yada, yada. And he looked at it, he goes, oh, you're a vet. And he threw it over his shoulder. He said, be here tomorrow at 8.
That's so cool.
And I stayed there, and the lady she was really good. She taught me a lot about prep, and I worked my way up. Before I went in, I had done some work in a French restaurant, Magic Pan Creperie Shop. I did some work there. So when I came out, I had an idea of what cooking professionally was like, and I enjoyed it. And so when I went back in with the Rio Grande, I just kept going. I worked my way up. Then I started doing Italian restaurants and French restaurants and mom and pop joints. I did all kinds of stuff. Ended up going to Le Cordon Bleu and becoming a classically trained chef. Did my externship with the Mandalay Bay Resort Group in Las Vegas on the Strip. Right. Worked several places down there. I worked with Airmark for a while, and I ran the Cashman Field, which is where their minor league baseball team, the 51s, were located. I think they changed their names recently. But I did that for a while, and then went overseas, and I came back and decided Smokin Blues BBQ here in St. George is what I should be doing. And so that's awesome. That's how I got here.
So why did you just decide to do barbecue? What was so yeah, what I guess walk me through some of your favorite items that you offer and kind of the story behind why Smokin Blues BBQ and not something else.
I like the concept that was developed with Smokin Blues BBQ. It's a place where you can go and eat and have good music, good time, relax, because that's what I believe barbecue is. So barbecue at this point is the vessel that's going to create the revenue for me to get that brick and mortar. Barbecue, as opposed to a bunch of other different styles of cooking, is something that everybody can relate to. It's a comfort food for our country. No matter where you go in this country, people have had and know about barbecue. And the thing about barbecue is it doesn't matter how good yours is, it's not quite as good as mine. And that's everybody, you know. It doesn't matter what you have. People always believe their barbecue is the best. And that's a good thing. It's healthy for you to think positively about yourself and your creations. So the things that I do for my barbecue, I have my own rub, and I think that's important. I control what goes into it, and if you have an allergy or something's going on, I can tell you whether or not you're going to be affected by what I'm having, because I created this. I made my own. I make my own sauces. I make my own rubs. All my sides: potato salad, coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, baked beans, collard greens, cornbread. I make all of these items from scratch. I know what's in them. My biggest sellers here in St. George are the brisket and the pulled pork. The people just rave about the two of them. Pulled pork is really good. Mine is really moist. It's juicy. It's got a nice flavor profile. It's not masked or hidden with anything else. The seasoning is that it seasons it and it enhances the flavor of the pork, as opposed to flavoring it and trying to make it taste like something else. I use natural woods to smoke my seasoning with. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about it the most is so many people are health conscious now about what they're eating. I don't like fried foods, no oils, this and that. Smoked meats don't have any of that. It's smoke. My meat is flavored with smoke. I don't fry it. I don't rub it down with oil and all these other things. It's smoke, and that's what makes it so unique, is that there's nothing to it but smoky. There are a lot of people you watch on YouTube and these other places, and they start rubbing it down with oil and mustard and all these other things. They're adding smoke. Why? You're changing it. Just put it on there, smoke it, let it go. The brisket that I do, it takes about 22 hours to cook it. And it just kind of melts in your mouth. It falls apart. And one of the things about it is that the bark on it seals it in. So the meat is cooking in its own juice this whole time. And when you bite into it, it just kind of melts in your mouth. And that's one of the things that make it so desirable is that it's 100% natural. There's no oils. It's not covered in salt and other fats that do that. Everything that's there came from that piece of meat. And so when you get it and you eat it, it's really nice. It's delicate. It's healthy. I give people good portions. One of the things that I'm really conscious about with my food is making sure that you, as the customer, are satisfied, not just with the taste. and the appearance of the presentation, but that you feel you got your money's worth. I don't want you to leave and have to go someplace else to buy something else to eat. When you leave, I want you full. I want you to enjoy it. And, I price food so that I can give you your money's worth. I don't have to make $1 million off of 2 people.
Yeah, right.
I think I'm more into volume. I would rather get a lot of people at $1 a piece and make $1,000 than get 4 or 5 people and make $1,000. You know, I've cooked in places like that. I've been employed in places where they sold the meals for $165 a plate.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it costs down in Vegas, at Mandalay Bay. That's probably what they're...
I worked at Lutece, which was really a nice restaurant. Gorgeous place. It was in Mandalay Bay. But realistically, the average person can't afford that. Most people are on a tight budget. They're trying to feed their family. And when they manage to scrape up enough money to go out and do something, I want to be able to enjoy it. Come down, get yourself a nice meal, sit back, relax, enjoy it with your family. And I think that's a big part of it, is if you go out and you don't get enough food to satisfy everybody, it's not as easy to enjoy. You know what I'm saying? And then we have a lot of stuff for kids. The portions that we make and the flavors, they're light, delicate flavors, macaroni and cheese. Kids love that. I have kids, so they're my sounding board for all of the stuff that I offer like that. Every dish that I make, the recipes I have, I had my kids try it out, and they're like, "Yeah, this is okay, but you need to do that. add more cheese, of course." So that's the way I came up with the recipes that I have. So the pulled pork is really good. I have that in a sandwich or on a plate. The brisket, the ribs are nice and tender. I'm looking for a nice beef rib that I want to do. A lot of people ask me about doing beef ribs, but when I shop around for it, the ribs are mostly bone, and I want meat. That's one of the things. Again, I want you to get your money's worth. I don't want to sell you a dinner with 2 or 3 bones of beef ribs on it. When you take the meat off, you get 3 ounces of meat because there's just enough to cover the bone. I want you to have a nice chunk of meat, and it's starting to look like I'm going to have to find and butcher my own to do that, which I'm not above doing.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I got several questions for you here.
Yeah,
number one, have you thought about selling Smokin Blues BBQ rubs and spices and stuff like that?
Actually, I have.
Yeah,
I'm looking into it. So to do that, it's a different group. That's through the Department of Agriculture, and they have a list of things that you have to do. And right now, I'm in the process of getting the sauces and the seasonings are going through a process now where the people help me identify the proper techniques that I'm supposed to use during pasteurization. They'll determine the shelf life of it. The labeling has to be exact on it for them. And then once these things are met, it goes back to the Department of Agriculture and they approve it. And once that happens, then I'll be able to do it, and you'll be able to go online.
Yeah.
And order it, and I can ship it all over the country. But at this point, I'm not able to do that. But you can buy it and bottled off the trailer. But yes, I am looking into that. That's something I want to do.
I had to ask that because I'm like, when is this going to be available?
Yeah.
Because sitting over here listening to you talk about this, I'm just are you open today? Is it going to be open today?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. Today I'll be cooking stuff. I'm cooking stuff for tomorrow because, like I said, it's 22 hours.
Yeah.
It's not a quick thing, and that's something a lot of people.
So you're smoking things for 22 hours.
The brisket, the brisket's 22. The pork butt's about 18. I smoke it that long because I want it to be very, very tender.
Yeah.
A lot of people go by the temperature and internal temperature. I go by the meat itself. It's for me, different varying thicknesses of meat have different cooking times.
Right.
A 2-inch steak and a 4-inch steak, if you cook them both 2 minutes, they're both not going to be medium rare.
Right.
So Yes, it cooks that long. It cooks till it's done. It can take up to 22 hours. And a lot of it has to do with how much other stuff you have on that smoker, that's going with it. So you fill it up with brisket and smoke it, you're looking at about 22 hours.
Wow, that's incredible.
And you have to let it rest a little bit, slice it up. It's ready to go.
Yeah, that's amazing. Man, yeah, I'm just thinking over here that it really is a science. It's a true skill set to be able to.
I've done this for a long time. It took me a while to get it down, and I didn't do it by myself. I've talked to other pit masters, and like I said, I was a certified chef with American Chefs Association, and during that time, I talked to other chefs in other regions and asked them about the sauces in their regions and different techniques and flavors that they use to make it into what they had, because there's 13 different regions in our country that have different. You got a Texas sauce, a Georgia sauce, North Carolina sauce, Memphis, Kansas City. All these places have their sauce. Even Alabama came up with a white sauce that they have out there now. Actually, one of the things I'm trying to do is create a sauce for Utah.
Okay.
Specifically for Utah. I have it would be I'm thinking honey, because that's the honeybee is busy as a bee kind of thing. And so I've talked to a couple local bee purveyors, beekeepers that sell honey and coming up with the right flavor, but I don't just want to. It's got to be the right sauce to bring that flavor to life, and so that's one of the things I'm doing. So yes, I am trying to promote my stuff.
That's really cool. Interesting that you bring that up, because I think Bench. Have you looked into Bench Family Bees raw local honey? They have.
No, I haven't.
They have offers on the Savesy app right now.
Okay.
It's local in town. I can show you these. But yeah, they have it seems like it's online, and yeah, it looks like they have quite a few different offers here for honey, locally sourced raw honey. That's pretty cool. Bench Family's Bees.
Okay.
Bench Family Bees.
Keep them in mind, and I'll get some and try it. When you deal with honey, there's a lot of different flavors of honey based on where the bees were and where the honey is actually at. Different flowers, different woods that flavor this honey. And what I'm looking for is a honey, again, that has a clean flavor of honey.
Yeah.
I don't want a flowered honey flavored. Like there's 7 or 8 different types. When you go in the store, you'll see different flavors of this honey. This is a natural creation that happens. But what I want for my Utah sauce is just to be plain honey, because honey is really good without anything else.
Yeah.
And it's good for you. It's a good natural source of energy. People don't realize that. So yeah, but I'll definitely look into that and see them, see what they have.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it's a website based company, but you do, because they're local, then they only sell locally. It seems like, it's an in-person transaction. So you, as part of the offer, I'm not going to say their phone number here on the podcast, but it does give it in their description of the deal. You can text them.
That's going back to what I was saying. You asked me about selling my sauces and seasoning. So in order to sell it online and leave the state, you have to go through the process I'm going to.
Okay.
But and that's why when you said it was an in-person transaction, that's different. That's like when you come to my trailer, that's an in-person transaction, and I don't have different set of requirements for me to sell you that.
On that note, is there anything that you would like to leave for the listeners of this podcast? What else would you like to go over, if there's anything at all?
I just like to recap on a couple of things. Smokin Blues is a vet-owned, minority-owned local business here in St. George. Our goal is to grow with St. George and become part of the fiber. We want St. George to be a successful place, a community that you can enjoy your family life here. A lot of people came here to retire or to raise their families. And we want to be part of the reason that you have a good time when you're here. We offer quality food. It's all locally sourced. And we take a lot of pride in what we do. We are involved with community activities. We want to bring up awareness on vet suicide, teen hunger. We believe that in order for us to be successful, the community has to be successful. And we want to do whatever we can to make St. George a successful community.
I love that. Thank you so much, Frank.
Well, thank you, Blake. I appreciate you letting me come on.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been my pleasure. I think everybody needs to definitely go and try out Smokin Blues BBQ. If they haven't already, you got to do that tomorrow. They're going to be available. And dare I say, by the time listeners are listening to this, it's going to be on the Savesy app as well. And you'll be able to see real-time location. So anytime you go into their profile and you look at the address, it should be a real-time reflection of where they're at. Yeah, Frank, it's been a pleasure. And if you haven't downloaded the Savesy app, download the Savesy app. We're about to be in several new markets. We're in southern Utah. We're moving into Vegas here shortly and into northern Utah. So if you're a small business owner and want some free advertising platform to market your deals and discounts, just download the Savesy app and create a business profile. I really appreciate you, Frank, and everybody have a good rest of your day.